And Republican strategist and radio host Malik Abdul joins us now live to talk more about all things Iowa. So great to see you. Can we start with the weather factor here? I know it's a big factor. People are fired up this election year, but do you think the weather will have a significant impact on voter turnout?
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for having me, and hats off to Emily for braving the cold on our behalf. I can't say that I want to trade places with her. But yes, the cold, obviously, inclement weather will impact any race, whether it's a caucus or a general regular primary race. The question here is around your passion for your candidate and also your get out to vote operation as far as the campaigns are concerned. If you are very passionate about your candidate, you are more willing to brave inclement weather. But at the same time, you have to have the operation. The campaigns have to have the operation on the ground to actually get their people out there, because it's not a situation where they simply just go in, punch their name or put it through an electronic scanner. It's not that sort of situation. They have to stay there many times for hours, go in support of their candidate. So you have to be willing to brave the cold and be there and have the boots on the ground. So the get out to vote operation will matter.
All right. It does take passion to do so. Haley, as you know, widening the gap with DeSantis now up 7 points. She's been, taking the stand that chaos follows Trump, and DeSantis has been bringing up Trump's legal challenges. Do you think it's her messaging there that's been so critical to this widening lead, or are there other more significant factors playing a role?
Well, I think ultimately it is the failure of the Ron DeSantis campaign since it would launch, which that failed Twitter launch. I think that people saw opportunities after Ron DeSantis seems to really perform poorly on the national stage as a conservative candidate, absolutely. But on the national stage, he just seemed to not do very well. And Nikki Haley saw an opening there. Many people would argue that establishment wing of the Republican Party. But there was something about Nikki Haley that I believe people appreciated more so than Ron DeSantis, because she was not as willing to engage in all of the cultural wars that has really, amplified Ron DeSantis's career. So there are some opportunities there for Nikki Haley for sure. Whether or not she can ultimately close the gap and win Iowa or even New Hampshire, for that matter, we don't know. But it looks as if that she's had some momentum for sure.
All right. Well, you're leading us to this next point of sort of taking this conversation big picture. I appreciate it. It will be shocking to many if Trump doesn't walk away with a win on Monday, considering his numbers. But second place, as you know, that's still a big deal in Iowa. So how does it impact momentum for either Haley or DeSantis as they move on to other states? How big of a factor is taking that number 2 spot?
Well, even if we go with the number 1 spot first, Iowa is typically not predictive of who becomes the president of the United States, with the exception of Barack Obama. Barack Obama coming out of Iowa gave at least the African-American community the confidence that they needed to know that Barack Obama can be a national candidate. The number 2 slot is equally, well, I would say the number 2 slot is also important because it actually can give you some momentum going into New Hampshire. In 2008, Barack Obama won Iowa. Hillary Clinton had a bit of a crying spell. She won in New Hampshire. Donald Trump, more than likely, it seems as if he will win Iowa. But if Nikki Haley is able to win New Hampshire, that might give her momentum going into her home state. But after South Carolina, it's really Super Tuesday. And with a third of the delegates being chosen on Super Tuesday, Nikki Haley really has to have a Hail Mary, or DeSantis for that matter, to be able to run the table on Super Tuesday.
All right, understood. So winding again to the general election and the potential matchup between Biden and Trump. A new poll out this week puts President Biden ahead of former President Trump in Pennsylvania by 3 percentage points. Biden's at 49%, while Trump is at 46%. The president on his way to Pennsylvania today. He's focusing on the economy and Bidenomics. But is his message that the economy is experiencing a softer landing than maybe anticipated, is that resonating with voters who are still feeling the squeeze at the pump, the grocery store, etc.? We've got about 30 seconds left.
Absolutely, Kelly. You really said that. It's really based on how people feel. The macroeconomic numbers seem to be really good, and we should hope that they continue going in this direction. But if people are going to the store and realizing that they're spending more money on goods and services that they did last year, they're not going to feel confident that the economy is working in their interest.
All right. Malik Abdul, thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. And still ahead, growing concern